I read Sapiens like 3 years ago, but there are like 3 distinct points. One is this, why do we love sweets so much? Second one is, why did Europeans conquer the world? And third one is money. Good afternoon and good evening to all the Book Talkies listeners, and welcome to yet another exciting episode. Everyone knows about this book, which we are going to talk about. It's Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. Sapiens as a book, we wanted to have a conversation with someone who is doing something really good for the society. And our guest speaker is a very dear friend to me. Let me welcome Aditya Lele.
Thanks, Kaustubh, and thanks, Anirudh, for inviting me here. Just a background, I'm from Mumbai, and I came here in Germany for work. As we are saying Sapiens, and we are talking about the connection with the people, so that was missing. Having the same set of ideas, same set of imagination, same set of, say, myths. This is the word from Sapiens book. Yeah. So that was missing. So that's how I got connected with HSS, Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh.
For Sapiens as a book, the first time I read, it was a very slow read, deliberately. And I would say, what has he written? And how his Yuval Noah Harari think? How can he even comprehend such a difficult topic of, let's say, imagination? He put it in a very simple language, a very plain English language. He has documented it, and I think that's why the ease of reading, the relatable topics that he covers, right? I think that's why it is such a known book. There are very few books that leave their mark in the history, right? It would be one of the ones, definitely one of the top 5 ones.
Absolutely, 100%. I think I was actually hearing one of the TED Talks of Yuval Noah Harari, and that's where he said he was surprised as to how Homo sapiens, and this book became so successful, because he had not written anything new which the world did not know. He had just had put it into a story which brought all of the right set of facts together and made it so clear, simple for anyone to read as to what has happened in the last 70,000 to 100,000 years, and how we have come to become the dominant species on this planet, and the Homo sapiens itself. So absolutely fantastic book.
But I think it is like apple तो हमेशा ही गिरता था. किसी ने ये नहीं सोचा कि क्यों गिरता है. That was the only Newton who did that. It is like that. Ki we have this information around us in the history books. Also, we have learned ki from monkeys we became humans. Then there was our backs were bent. Then we became straight, erectus, and then. But in this one of the chapter, he says that when we became straight, when we were like monkeys, we were using all of our 4 limbs, 2 hands and 2 legs. When we became straight, our hands became free, and with these hands, we were able to do many things, many wonders.
So he talks about the pre-agriculture period, right? The hunter-gatherers period, then the agriculture revolution, which he calls as the humanity's biggest fraud. Very big, claim. And then he talks about the current system and the future. Kind of he dabbles into that. Okay, what was in the first portion of the hunter-gatherer, right? Or that pre-cognitive revolution. I think that's what it talks about. He says, our liking for eating sweets. I read Sapiens like 3 years ago, but there are like 3 distinct points. One is this, why do we love sweets so much? Second one is, why did Europeans conquer the world? And third one is money, which were the key revolutionary radical points that you noticed. Which one for you really stand out?
The one where he explains about the scientific revolution, where Europeans admitted that they don't know, opens up immense of possibilities. On the maps where they have not been to, they used to put it blank, saying that I want to go there. This is how they conquered the world, actually. Accepting the ignorance is the biggest thing. even Sadguru or any spiritual leader says that okay, just accept that I don't know, and then you have immense of possibility. You open up to immense possibilities. The second thing was this cooperation of strangers. That was very interesting. So as a one person, I can be connected to 150 more individuals. So I can form close relationships with 150 people around me. But after that, everyone becomes stranger. And still, we see so many strangers working together, okay, for the common myths, for the common imaginations, and for the common, for example, having a Indianness. Yeah, every Indian is a stranger, but still I work towards it like we did, Kaustubh. That is a very, very fascinating idea. So I'm part of a HSS, Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh. The idea here is to connect to the larger community, and the focus is via character development of an individual. So that's the idea, the whole idea. So that connecting to the community part, that means I have been doing that for years, but after reading this book, this is where the community idea comes into pictures. That was very revelation. Right. That's a revelation. Yeah.
Right. That's the why question being answered for you. Why are you doing this? It comes from there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anirudh, anything that you remember or you want to call out?
Yeah, I think for me it was appreciation of where we have come from and where we are, because as a generation who has been born and brought up in technology, who take most of the things which we have around us for granted, be it a watch, be it specs that we wear, be it laptops that we use, we take a lot of this for granted as if this was always there. But this book brought into perspective that over the last 70,000 years, there's an entire process which has flown in. There was a cognitive revolution, there was an agricultural revolution, more recently a scientific revolution, and how over the last few 150 years, things have transformed to a point where we are using technology, and there are concepts like physics, biology, chemistry, and we are trying to understand and unearth the surrounding in which we actually live. So a little more appreciation of where we are and what we are doing, instead of just taking everything for granted. So that was probably something which really stayed with me, and to this day is something I really appreciate about the book.
Yeah, I want to bring that point back, Aditya, where you mentioned that the sense of community. It is reading this book has helped you and made you do more probably than what you're doing already.
The community part of it, he says that you form a bigger community because of your shared imagination, shared myths. But just one thing, which is a new thing which I observed, is also shared insecurities. You form a community. That's what I observed here in Germany, actually. When we meet on every weekend, there are many. It's a family meet, okay? So mother, father, children. Most of the times, the children are growing here in Germany. Their parents have come from India, so they have a set of ideas. They have a set of myths. They have a set of stories, which they have their entire existence is built upon, and then their children are getting into the different set of ideas, stories, and myths that German society is built upon. And this is the insecurity. We need to tell our children about our culture. That sense drives this, the third part, I said the insecurity. So this is the insecurity that many of the families have.
So I can share a personal example. My wife, she was like back in 2017, 2018, she was working in Hong Kong. We won't go to the temples or the churches or the mosques every day, but we respect where the institution, But the insecurity in Hong Kong, in a alien nation, okay. Even though again Homo sapiens as a species is one, but because we are divided by the imaginative countries and imaginative geographies, it's different, right? So being in Hong Kong, I could see that she was going to Gurudwara, which was like just 600, 700 meters from her house almost every day, because she could see the people who look like her, right? She could see that Indianness, that okay, these people, who are running Gurudwara, the Sikh community, have somehow originated from India. So that's how she was bridging the gap. And even though she wouldn't speak Punjabi, but still, because it was closer to her than speaking a Mandarin, or any other form of Chinese language, she could relate to these people more, just because the presence of a known identity or entity near her house in a different nation. Brilliant point that you brought up.
So yeah, that's what the community, I would say, is of. Apart from that, but I feel, this book is written with a very neutral tone. Means very objective, but communities, cultures, empires are not built only upon objectiveness. It's always upon emotions. It's always upon how you feel. That's where organizations like Seva. So I'm not the founder of Seva, by the way. I'm just a volunteer there. So what we did during the Ukraine war crisis is that we sent teams of volunteers to the Ukraine and Poland and Ukraine and Romania. There are borders of Ukraine with these countries to give the service to the refugees. Main focus, obviously, was the Indian students who are coming.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, we stayed there. Once the entire Indian students and people evacuation was done, our team stayed there for, let's say, 2 months more. So this is where we all volunteers. We were from Seva, but there were Red Cross. So Red Cross is a Christian missionary organization. Similarly, there is a Red Crescent. Red Crescent is the Islamic volunteer organization. All the volunteers, we were cooperating, okay, and that was the I would say that is the ideal form of cooperation, where the people from different backgrounds were cooperating to serve the people in need. Generally, missionaries don't work with Islamists, or and we were like the completely new guys, the brown guys, because the negative experience, I would say, that brown guys helping a white guy is somewhere not likened by the Ukrainian people.
Okay.
Some of our guys used to approach them with the food packets. They used to say, no, go. And then if there is a white guy, they used to take the food packet from it. Fun. So it was really enriching experience.
A very fulfilling experience.
Yeah, fulfilling. That's the right word.
So I think that's the essence of this book, right? It doesn't come naturally to other animals. It's just us, right? It's just us who is able to do all these remarkable feats, these miracles. If you look at the formation of universe and the Big Bang, it's just a tiny blip where we have brought this change in a small planet called Earth.
There is, we talked about the conscious connection that we have with people, which is the people who we are able to relate with, where there are common insecurities or common interests. But then outside of that, I think as Homo sapiens, there is also the unconscious connection that we have, or unconscious cooperation that we have with people. So a good example of that would be maybe you in Germany. There you board onto a bus, not knowing who the driver is, not knowing anybody who's there in the bus, just cooperating and understanding and appreciating and believing that that driver or that bus will take you to the right place.
Yeah,
that's unconscious cooperation. So and one of the beautiful points which Yuval Noah Harari talks about in the book is that if you put 100 chimpanzees and 100 human beings together, there will be some level of synchronization between both of these entities or both of these groups. But if you take that to 1 lakh chimpanzees and 1 lakh human beings, there will be utter chaos between chimpanzees, whereas even as strangers, human beings will be able to cooperate and find their way and take care of each other. And that's the beauty about Homo sapiens, and that's why we are here talking about this and right up there in terms of the food chain and how we're sort of thriving on this planet.
Absolutely. I, I, I want to steer the conversation to a more of a debatable point. Money. I believe all three of us would agree that money doesn't bring happiness, right? But he mentions money can bring happiness as long as it helps you breach the poverty line. Once you have breached the poverty line, any extra income, any extra money can help the problems go away. What do both of you gents think about it?
Agreed. Yeah, that is also one of the point which I connected with. Actually, money is just a value exchange. Okay, but it is needed for sure. Before you used to have you needed muscles and spears, but now you need money. So money is just a tool, I would say, if you look at it. Yeah. So it depends upon how we look at it. Money, like we say, in Sanskrit there is a term of sadhan and sadhya. So sadhan means tool and sadhya means my target or where I want to go. So money is only sadhan. It should not be our sadhya. If money becomes our sadhya, then it will never bring happiness. So it's to do something. It is just a tool.
Very interesting thought process that you had. I think the core essence which Kaustav started to talk about as well was how do we get more people to read, and people who don't read today and people who've sort of stopped reading, how do they sort of go back to reading again? So any tips or anything from your experiences that you would want to share for our audience who would be able to go back to reading and actually derive the sort of value and really convert it into impactful living the way you have been sort of demonstrating it through this conversation itself?
Okay, that's a very difficult question, that how to inculcate the habit of reading. Just the one example I would give, maybe when we go to the HSS branch here, we call it Shakha. So the kids also come there. So many parents have this complaint that they don't read. The kids don't read. So we just tried, it was just an experiment to do a loud reading club. Not read yourself like book club, but people are reading their own. Everyone is reading the same book, and you read the first chapter, and someone else will read the second chapter, and someone else will read the third chapter loudly in front of everyone. And
nice. An audiobook, like in-person audiobook, live
in-person audiobook. Yeah. So
nice.
That somehow improved, not all obviously, but some of the kids got interested because it was fun. Everyone was having a different tone, different way of speaking, and yeah, it brought a lot of variety. Some children were very really ardent readers. Story hoga, so they were doing all the voice modulation. Some were like flat. Next Sunday, these kids then they got into some kind of a healthy competition that I want to read better, and then they used to read that paragraph beforehand. And then somehow, so that's how, just an experiment we did. I don't know whether it works.
I really appreciate, Aditya, that the way you were explaining the key points of the book, how you related that to your personal life examples, and how it is helping you bring more positivity in HSS, in Seva, or any other person who meets you. That's remarkable. So with this note, thank you very much, Aditya, for being on this episode.